The beauty of a tree is obvious to those who simply take the time to observe its physical presence. Its natural beauty can at the same time be soothing to some and inspiring to others. But now, with the assistance of sculptor Marcia Perry of Saugatuck at her studio and gallery called the ARK, there's even more beauty being discovered deep inside the tree. Marcia has worked many mediums in her lifetime, but the tree is what summons her creativity and speaks to her soul.
I am by heart committed to trees.
Okay, trees is in your soul.
Yes,
yeah. Why is that?
Well, I grew up in Michigan, in the North Woods, very close, and I've always just felt a very strong spiritual presence from trees. And when it came time in my midlife to sort of decide where my real vocation was, it was with the trees, and by probing into their very sort of hearts, I try to let other people see what incredible wisdom and strength and great virtue there is to be drawn upon, that we all can sort of draw on that same source. But I find the lessons communicate through trees, and their beauty to me is just astounding.
And the artwork that comes out from the trees is something you were telling me that you really don't see until you get into the tree, and it comes out as you progress. Tell us a little bit about that. That's kind of neat.
My process is totally intuitive in that I might sort of like a piece of wood, find it interesting, but I don't know what shape it will take when I work on it. And I just begin working, and just little by little taking layer by layer away and following the lines of grain and just sort of the tug of instinct. I pull out whatever forms seem to me to be within the tree. It can be expressed in a lot of ways. It's a very strong feeling, but it doesn't really relate to sort of everyday experience necessarily, in that I just know I have to take this away or not take that away. And it seems to me that I'm being shown, that I'm being, sort of told where to go, though not in words. And so I follow, and I am sometimes absolutely astounded to see what is revealed inside of a tree. I mean, I just marvel at what's there. And I myself am actually very drawn to abstract forms and, well, animal forms too. But oftentimes the work is figurative, and it takes on a human shape, which at first quite terrified me because I had no background in doing anything with a human figure. I'd never even been interested in drawing people. I mean, it just was the last thing. And suddenly it was like, this tree wants to be a woman. Oh dear, I've got to figure out how we're put together to have some sense of what's going on. As it happened, it didn't really require a great deal, except just kind of paying attention. And
communication between the tree itself. And
it feels that way.
Almost like a Dr. Dolittle of botany, almost just.
Well, it's funny you should mention Dr. Dolittle. He was my childhood idol. That is who I had hoped to be. I thought I would probably be working with dolphins.
Well, perhaps there's a tree out there that has a dolphin inside.
I'm waiting. Yeah, I think that could be.
What do you look for when you see just the raw wood, or how do you pick it? How do you decide that there's something in there? What's the process of finding just the right piece?
Well, the wood comes to me in many different ways. First of all, I only work recycled wood. I mean, trees that have already been cut down for one reason or another. I think it's horrible to cut down a tree. They give so much to us as living things. But once they're down, all I can do is kind of try and bring them back to life in my own way. And I take the greatest delight because they give me the most clues in crotches and stumps and the trees that have been infected with funguses and blighted and grown oddly, so that they take on a very unique and individual character. And then that gives me a place to start easily, and I can probe to see what else I might find. So I use what other people, I mean, really have no use for, the stuff that, you can't even chop up easily for firewood. And it's sort of, I don't know, I suppose there's some sort of contrariness about it, that there's beauty in everything. There's really nothing that deserves to be thrown away. It just is used in some other way, by perhaps some other, creature, whether it's a microorganism or a worm or a human. I try very hard when I'm working not to become attached to any image that I might have in my head. So, because if I do that, then I'm imposing my will instead of trying to reveal what the tree itself has within it to show. So there are times, though, when definitely I might start out with and just say, oh, I would like to do a dog, and start out, and then it always takes its own shape. I remember one time I wanted to do a kind of I wanted it to be a very archaic, religious, solemn figure that had a lot of power, like the primitive art forms. And I took this little piece, and that piece would be nothing but cute. It was, it refused to have that sort of primal, serious power to it. It just was the cutest little Yoda guy you ever want to see. And you have to go with that. I do. I feel, it's like, it wants to be that, that's what it will be. And because I think, we know ourselves best. And the trees, too, know themselves best. And if we listen, then the result will be really what's supposed to be there.
Did you find this calling that you're at right now in your childhood, or was it a complete opposite of the way you grew up and the lifestyle you led to the point you're at today? Did you have to take different avenues that came into or did you have a straight arrow that you saw that you wanted to do something like this eventually?
It was not a straight and narrow, no. It was, I guess I would have to say my life was a pretty convoluted process of trying to figure out what it was I was supposed to do, although I always had a sense that there was something special I needed to do, something unusual. And I tried a lot of different career vocations, and I was fortunate to be proficient at many things. So I would try them, and none of them made me particularly unhappy, but none of them quite struck that heart string that I think is so essential to really, follow your own calling. But I started carving when I was in high school, and it was for a joke, where I had accidentally broken an ashtray of a teacher, and I was very anti-smoking even then. And so I thought, it would be funny to replace it with a wooden ashtray which could never be used. Right. So I went to my art teacher, and she said, I don't know the first thing about it. Do whatever you want. So I went and I bought some little tiny tools, and I got a piece of wood, and I just carved out this, actually it was a very beautiful little ashtray. And I liked it. I liked the process. I liked hearing the sound of that blade scrunching through the walnut, and the smell, and just everything about it.
Marcia Perry had found her niche, her calling, so to say, and to many of those that purchase her pieces, they're thankful she's doing what she's doing, revealing the true hearts of Michigan's native trees, exposing forms and figures of true beauty by letting the trees speak for themselves from within. Our visit that day at the ARK was most enjoyable and truly enlightening to a person like me who's quite naive as to the possibilities of the abstract. Marcia was kind enough to explain and share her world with us. For that, we're grateful. It truly is a recommended stop on in the Saugatuck area, the sculpting of Marcia Perry at the ARK.